Today on the podcast, we talk about Russ's new fleshy allergy. Also, is Slate the past tense of slut? Andrew thinks RTS games are cutting edge. Also, do big scary game company make too many money? What is Andrew's deal with Tank? And why are my hands so sticky?
My name is Andy. Are you my dad?
This is Russ, and I am a meat popsicle.
This is Andrew, and one day I will have more APMs than all the Koreans combined.
And this is Nick. Welcome to the Balcony Time Podcast.
All right, so vegetable glycerins, which is in this vaping oil. So I've quit smoking, and I've done so with the help of both Chantix and vaping non-nicotine vape oil.
For how long? Have you not smoked a cigarette?
I have not had a cigarette in, I think, about a month.
Nice.
Good for you.
No nicotine in over a month as well.
Oh, so this is all like virgin stuff?
Hmm?
No nicotine is in there?
Yeah.
Right.
All these are zero milligrams. But I think, because this is the second time I've vaped heavily, because I was doing it before when I was trying to quit smoking just by vaping as a replacement, and I'm fairly certain my memory on this subject is not super great, but I think the same thing happened, which is that I start having an allergic reaction to vaping so often where it makes my body itch. Ugh. Yeah, I start getting really itchy in different spots.
Really?
Yeah, and
Is it because you're drying out? Because I mean, you do need to hydrate when you're vaping.
I have no idea. Maybe.
Could be that you're just dehydrated.
I mean, I'm fairly certain I exist in a dehydrated state.
Yeah, it's going to dehydrate you more
90% of the time.
I don't know that it'll necessarily dehydrate you more than cigarettes, but I find because I vape so much more frequently than I take a drag off a cigarette, that I will find my mouth, being fairly dry in comparison to even when I was smoking.
If he's talking about his skin,
Do you feel like you're at a point where you could start cutting back on the virgin vaping?
Oh yeah, I did smoke. I did vape it all today.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm done vaping.
sounds like it's time for another experiment. Another Russ experiment.
Just to see if the itching
See if
goes
you
away.
stop itching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much where I'm at.
All right,
Like,
so you haven't hit it at all today?
no.
All right.
No, I don't need to.
Have you itched it all today? Like in the same manner that it's been associated
so
with
the
this?
weird thing about itching,
You
is
don't
that
know.
You don't realize
Yeah.
it until you've I'm itching myself a
Right.
lot.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to do something and you can't do it because you're itchy. Like
Carry around
sleep.
that notepad, and every time you itch yourself, make a little tally mark over the next day or two.
the inside of my calves have been itching for the last 3 days.
Like inside the skin.
Like the muscles on
Oh,
the inside of, as opposed to the outside of my calf.
It's just
I don't know what it is.
It could be. I mean, we
The
did have this
gastrocnemius
sudden
is the name of
drop
that muscle,
in
but-
temperature outside.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe our skin's just.
So I have noticed, I usually work in kitchens and shit, and so during the winter, my eczema on my hands will start acting up.
Yeah,
and
mine
I've
does
started
too.
to notice that my knuckles are starting to sting a little bit, like they're starting to get dried out. So
Mhm.
maybe it is related to the weather
You can
changing.
already kind of see this. When it's cold out, my knuckles, this winter, they're going to turn straight up purple.
Right? Yeah,
you can
that'll
already
happen.
see them doing that. They turn a little white and they get purple. It's
God,
look
we're
like a
fucking honkies.
lich.
Yeah, dude. So every change of season, I get my hands peel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just like super dry.
dude, I work with.
it's not even necessarily
gets it
dryness.
really bad.
I'm using lotions that are supposed to fix it, but
You're molting.
Lotions.
yes.
Lizard man.
Multiple.
I mean,
got-
right now I'm just using the one,
He's
but I
got-
will use multiple.
Pre-lotion, the lotion formerly known as Prince, post-lotion, and I don't know, retro future noir lotion.
Yeah, I mean that's just present lotion.
Plus spackle
Well,
for the off
it's
days.
assumed. Yeah, I like to put the popcorn ceiling on.
Realistically, how many lotions do you apply?
2.
And why is it more than one?
So I use one so I was using one that's
Gotta make
medicated.
sure the lotion's soft before you put it on your skin.
Lotion. I had the lotion softener. No, there's one that's supposed to be medicated for your hands peeling. And then
is
I
it
just
the working man's cream?
no, that one is just another version of Lubriderm that I have. I just have
Okay.
2 versions of Lubriderm. And then the other one is supposed to be less oily, so I like to use that one more frequently. And then the one that's more oily, I'll just use before bed.
I have never used a lotion in my life that did not feel like oil.
The
Ever.
Lubriderm stuff is water based and is really good. So
I have it.
and now
it's in my backpack.
I have to rub it in fucking crazy for a half hour before I
do
can start
that.
touching stuff.
And then when I'm done, I have to wipe my hands off with a paper towel because there's still fucking oil on them.
Have any of you tried the Working Man's hand cream?
No.
Comes in like this
It's
green
little
jar.
petroleum-looking kind of stuff.
No,
looks-
it's almost. It almost looks like coconut oil.
Yeah, when it's like cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Tiger Balm in appearance.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
That
it's good.
stuff. I use
could
it
be
all the
wrong.
time when my hand starts getting fucked up.
My doctor told me the best lotions are ones that have water further down the ingredient list.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
So I actually, at the same time that they were telling me this, I didn't realize that the amount of an ingredient inside of a product puts it higher.
Oh
excuse me,
yeah.
on the list.
That really changes the way you read ingredient lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first
So-
ingredient is the most
Prevalent.
Potent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
prevalent. Yeah.
The
and
most
that's
of it.
so he was telling me, or she, I don't remember. Look for lotions that do not have water listed as the first ingredient, because if they do, what ends up happening is that you apply the lotion, the water immediately evaporates and further dries out your skin.
Oh.
Plus, then you get all that little gunky rubber cement like crap.
No, your skin is just bad.
Yeah, that's.
You're- I think you're
that shouldn't
I think
coincide
you're
with
just
that.
shedding the first
most
layer.
lotions, if you sit there and rub them in, they'll start gumming up if they're water based.
I've never had that before.
I'll
I've
go back to my house,
masturbated
grab
with
my
a fair
lotion.
share of lotions. I've never
Okay.
encountered like a rubber cementing.
Getting a lot
situation.
more back rubs than you guys have. There's a lot of lotions I can't use anymore.
I mean, unless there's like dirt or something
One,
on my
I
hand.
challenge that you've given more back rubs than I have.
I don't know.
I
How
think
we would
we'd be
test
in a
that,
close race at the very
potentially.
least.
Yeah.
But I have never encountered. You're talking like a. You said rubber cement, so it's literally like
It just-
like
it
the
kinda
proteins
gums
are
up.
collecting.
It's like
and-
when you're rubbing it into skin, most lotions, at least the generic ones I've had on hand at times, they start going up and they leave little like beady, rubbery, tacky bits.
So that's probably
dead skin.
yeah,
Yeah.
dead
That's-
skin or like little bits of dirt or something that are gumming up. So just
well, I've used
Yeah.
other lotions and it's not nearly as bad.
But have you ever paid attention to whether or not it could just be skin accumulation, or
It's probably
lotion.
part skin, but I mean, if I have the same person, different lotions, and one makes more gummy bits than the other.
one might be more abrasive?
Could be.
And it's taking more of that top level off. Because I've never encountered weird gummy lotion business, but I have encountered taking off of like a layer of dead skin, and it's like
That I
you
have.
get chunky bits.
Yeah, but never gummy.
or even if your hands are like a little bit grimy, the lotion will like clean it
Yeah.
up
Mhm.
and it'll collect that residue into that like they're
It
almost
could also
like
be-
little
It's friction. Dirt,
Yeah.
It
dirt.
could also be
ponds.
my Martian alien hands.
Yeah, like I said, you
that
have bad
are
hands.
Super weird.
we said he had bad skin.
Oh, you have bad hands.
So, question.
Cripple fingers.
Okay. I'm
No,
sorry,
7
audience.
fingers is good for a hand.
Somebody
Like, he's
Said
got a
crip-
better
I
hand.
said cripple fingers. What?
What are we doing?
just
Holding
apologize,
hands.
Audience. I just want to see the sheen. Move your hand up and down.
Okay.
You see how much shinier my hand is?
Nick's got
It
some
looks
good
like you have
sheen.
like a slight level of sweat on your hands. Okay.
I swear, my hands are from another creature.
Yeah, you got bad hands.
I can like, they're tacky. I can pick shit up with them like a gecko.
Yep.
They make it gummy bits
Oh,
when
I
I'm
keep
rubbing
fucking
lotion
with
in.
Mike,
You're lizard people.
I mean, I think
That
it
table's
literally
really
could just
tacky.
be you
Yeah.
have like a fine, thin layer of sweat
Maybe.
on.
It's
your
probably
hands.
just an extra protective layer of some kind, so
It's like a second pair of eyelids.
that you can't breathe or see out of.
Your gecko finger stuff, I
Yeah,
don't
dude.
understand. I don't understand how you could do.
Oh,
that.
I gotta try that.
I've tried so many times to do this kind of stuff, and there's just nothing there.
So because everybody's
Nailed
just
it.
listening, these guys are picking up
Sorry.
pennies,
and
coins.
nickels
We're not
just
even
by
picking them
touching
up. We're sticking them to the ends of
yeah,
our
they're
fingers.
just able to stick
like
them to the end
magic.
of the finger.
Oh, this table is really sticky though.
Yeah, the
It's
table's tacky.
Yeah.
Oh, boom! Nailed that one.
So that's the thing about.
Bam!
Okay,
I'm nailing it.
we'll go into a little bit of that subject. Just a small, minor rant.
What are we talking about?
The
Sticky
table.
pennies.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I've worked not a ton, but on occasion stuff with.
Stop it.
I'm done. I'm done. That was the last one. I had to do it off the paper to see if I could actually do it.
Like paints and stuff like that, and sealants, and I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong, if there is anything that I'm doing wrong, but I've never been able to get a surface like clear coated or anything like that and not have it be tacky. like even if it's just paint, like different chemical finishes, stuff like that. But it will always be slightly sticky.
So I have about as much experience as you do, probably, give or take a little bit here and there, and neither have I. What I did is I stopped using paints and lacquers and
He
started
just
using.
screams at the tables until they comply.
No,
blue.
I just get it. Like I will sand up to like 1,000 grit, 1,200 grit, and get it super
polishing
smooth. Yeah, damn near polishing, and then I will put in tongue oil.
Tongue oil.
Tongue
You're
oil.
just telling me you just start licking
Wait,
the
like-
table. You're just like,
No,
Like
yeah.
pressed tongues.
It's called.
And the oil
I don't
that's
know
It's
why
called
it's
it's called
tongue oil,
it's called
but-
tongue oil. Anyways, I'm pretty sure
But
it's
it's
like an
not made
extract
from
from
tongues.
wood,
Okay.
and it just fills in gaps. That's all it does.
Okay.
So it removes
Smooths
any
everything.
of the roughness in the surface. So yeah, it's getting it almost polished and then throwing tongue oil on it, and then it's fantastic.
TUNG.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This might be completely unrelated, but I feel like it's parallel. When you're casting resin, most resins, if they have any amount of water in them, they will not ever fully cure.
Yeah.
And you can like mark them with your fingernail. And I get a similar feeling with this table. And I wonder if there's something similar going on.
I would wager that I have never properly cured anything that I've like painted, large projects that I've painted or finished.
Well, yeah, this cured inside, didn't it?
I don't. It's probably did some outside,
Mhm.
some inside. Some of this was done during like the middle of the summer
Right.
when it's like 108 degrees outside, and then the inside is air conditioned.
Yeah.
So it's
I wonder if the paint was just too thick.
the
Does it-
Could
paint
be.
could have been too thick. Like,
Because you get a thick layer of paint.
Oh
It's
yeah,
gummy
you
as
kind of
crap,
dig into
yeah.
it. It's like
I
a
don't know.
cushion.
I don't know.
I hope
But
we
the-
have
but
one
the-
painter in our audience just yelling at us.
Oh man,
Yeah.
please send
so
us, send
simple.
us a
Yeah, send us a
comment.
comment.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong when I paint stuff. Just like how important is curing temperatures? Because I think this is just a latex paint, I think, and then just a polyurethane coating on this table.
I wonder if the polyurethane coating was added too quickly before the paint had cured.
I mean, I definitely know because I was trying to avoid this situation
Yeah.
as much as possible because I knew I was building a table for the living room area,
Mhm.
and I did not want my similar problems to arise
Yeah.
again of this tacky, sticky feeling.
For sure.
And so I was taking my time, and I think there's like a solid week
Hmm.
between when I applied the last level of paint and then
Yeah,
put
it
the
was quite
polyurethane.
a while, wasn't it?
This whole table
Yeah.
process was over the course
Mhm.
of like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do that. I was trying to make sure that everything had plenty of time to dry and cure.
We just need a new table.
Oh yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Sharon and I have already been eyeballing stuff to
Oh man, so have I.
replace the whole set.
The unfortunate thing is I didn't find like a good one. Like I wasn't yard sailing. Should have been. I think that's something we should do next summer. It's just like the three of us on weekends go fucking garage sailing.
It's not too late.
No, I've seen signs for a few.
Yeah.
If I see more, I'll shoot you
Yeah, but
pictures of them.
The only issue is that it's been raining a shitload, and like last weekend it rained the entire weekend. So
Yeah, it hasn't been raining like a crazy amount yet.
last weekend it did, and this weekend it's been the last 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need an actual garage sale, yard sale. We could just use the Forever Sale, which is the
Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, I know that stuff's brilliant.
I don't like the word table.
No, it's got too many B's in
It's
it.
just able with a T, but they don't have anything to do with each other. I don't know what the etymology is, but I just don't like it.
Probably something to do with tablet.
What?
Tabula rasa, Latin. Tabula, slate.
Yeah.
Slate, table.
Tableau.
See, tabula's fine. But the table's just like,
Everything's been bastardized.
it's still like insight. Works on 2 levels.
Yes, it is from the Latin tabula, which means plank, tablet, or list.
I thought it meant slate. Similar.
Plank.
Flat slab.
Tabula rasa, I think is where that means blank slate.
Yeah.
So
Is the past tense of slate slut?
no, it's Latin.
Okay.
Who was it? You, Russ, that said that the opposite of yeet is yoink.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so clever.
Yeah.
To quickly take as opposed to
And-
quickly throw.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
And I heard from someone you yeet for power and Kobe for accuracy.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. for sure.
Some people misuse the Kobe, but you got to say Kobe for accuracy, which we get into the sports nuance of how that's not even a good analogy considering he's not super accurate apparently with his shots. I think I've read that before.
I don't know anything about sports.
Dude.
Sports ball.
All I know is that I've watched a YouTube montage of him, and he makes them all in that. So.
Well,
I
so
hear
do I.
Well, so every Call of
It's
Duty
very
player does a
expensive.
360 no scope
All the
montage.
time.
Yeah, 100% of the time.
I play a little game on Reddit when I browse RL, when I write out of my own subreddits, where I'll come across a sports post,
Mhm.
and the headline will be like, the CRQ for the Arrowhawks is down 50 points according to Blue Lines. And without looking at the subreddit, I have to try to figure out what sport they're talking about because their
So you've
inside
gamified it.
baseball terms are so
Mhm.
bizarre now. I'm like, soccer. And it's like, no, that's just football. It's almost
Yeah.
always just football, but
Mhm.
yeah.
'Tis the season.
I was on a football team, and I don't know football. I don't know how to play football. I don't know how football is
Don't know how many
scored or
balls are
most of the
involved.
rules.
Yep.
Yeah, really. So I never had the grades to actually play, but they're like, well, you have to be benched. And I didn't have a choice between my dad and my coach, who was my dad's friend. I didn't have a choice
They made you.
Well, yeah, So I, as a freshman, my very first day of high school, the varsity football coach comes up to me and he's doing roll call, says my last name, and he's like, "Are you related to your dad?" And I was like,
Are you related
no, without saying my last name, So
to Mayfield? Okay.
Thanks. So
I'm
our
sober.
so he calls me out, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, I already know. So yeah, he's like, you're going to be on my varsity team next year, and I was like, what? I was like, I will be a sophomore next year, and he's like, then year after next. I was like, okay. So that's exactly what happened. I missed all practices because I was smoking weed and hanging out with the nerds and the ne'er-do-wells. So I would sit on sidelines during games, and
Did they
that
let you
was my
stay
job.
on the team?
Yeah,
Just
I was required to stay on the team.
that's wild.
The school paid for my equipment, which is not a thing that they would normally do.
Why?
Because the coach wanted me in, man.
That's crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Did he ever touch you?
No.
Okay, that's good.
No, but
You missed
so
out.
he's like, you bring so much power to the
Didn't like
field.
you that much.
You bring power to the field, and I was like, I don't know how to play football. And he's like, it doesn't matter. You just hit the person that I tell you to hit. And
And then
that
he told
was-
you to sit on the bench the whole time.
Well, I couldn't play, so
Okay.
So I did start going to practices at the beginning.
Okay.
And then I was told that I couldn't practice until my grades came up because my GPA was too low. You had to have like a 2.5 and I had like a 2.1 or something stupid.
Barely passed.
'Cause- yeah, exactly.
Von
So yeah, I wasn't allowed to play.
Vontae's perfect targeting the head.
What
That's a
does
post-
that mean?
That's a post from a sports subreddit.
Wait, say it one more time.
Vontae's perfect targeting the head.
Burfect? B-U-R?
It's a dude's name.
Oh.
How about Humphreys choking out OBJ?
Hockey. Is that a hockey one? It's a weird name.
Humphreys choking out OBJ.
Oh, that's a MMA for sure, right?
Nope.
Oh, baseball then?
Let's see if I can
I
find
knew you
another
wouldn't
one.
ask unless it was really big or really small. It's either baseball or MMA.
While on the subject of sports, and football specifically, have you guys seen O.J. Simpson's Twitter?
He's on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's probably not a good idea for him.
Oh boy. So he spends a lot of time on Twitter being like, "Oh, of course I'm innocent," and then he like threatens people immediately thereafter.
That's probably a really bad idea.
Oh, dude. Yeah, but I don't think he gives I don't think he's ever cared.
Yeah, I mean,
He got away with murder.
Yeah, I think he's a total
would you care?
sociopath. So
that's way, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been to prison.
hmm
Let him have his Twitter.
Well, I just find it fascinating because he will watch. Like he is as butthurt as like Trump on Twitter. He will single out like low level podcasters for talking shit about him because he checks tags on Twitter and
Hey, Glove Man.
podcasts.
I see
Single
what you're
us out.
doing.
So so OJ, we know you did it.
Yes.
Yeah, that glove fit, motherfucker.
I saw the documentary on Netflix.
Clowney
I
with
did
the
not,
one-handed pick
but-
six.
What?
Clowney with the one-handed pick six.
That's baseball. No, all their catches are one-handed. It wouldn't be a headline. Football.
So far, these have all been football.
Okay.
That's what I mean. I come
I
across
should have just
these-
picked football every time.
Dwayne
Yes.
Haskins with 3 ints and 2.5 quarters.
Well, yeah, of course.
Interceptions.
To me, that means intelligence.
Me too.
So.
I mean, I actually knew
Yeah.
what that one meant, but
Mhm.
that is what it means to me.
I enjoy watching football in the condensed 12 to 15 minute
Mhm.
YouTube recap videos.
You
Oh,
mentioned
yeah,
that.
those
I'm
are
going to start
great.
doing that.
I showed him to. I was sitting there watching one the other day during my break, and my boss walked by, and he's like, "I didn't know you liked football." And I'm like, "I like football like this,
You're right.
when it's not 2 hours interrupted every 10
advertising
minutes
at me.
by
Mhm.
advertisements." Like, look, I can watch an entire game, get great enjoyment out of the back and forth in 12 minutes.
Because that's what football is. It's advertising for Squarespace and Budweiser.
Oh yeah, it's a
everywhere.
billboard.
One more. Kwiatkowski bull rushes Cook 10 yards back towards Cousins. I mean,
This is a fun. We got to turn this into a game.
Vaguely
This is
sports
fun.
related. Is like, why are his cousins on the field? Why is he
Right.
pushing this
Don't
Cook
push that guy
man?
towards the Cousins. Leave the cook alone. He's got fucking meals to prep, man.
So you've
Yeah,
been
I like
playing.
that
Barbecue
game.
gone
I like
wrong.
that game a lot.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
Far Cry or guess the sport?
Guess the
I
sport,
guess
but
we
also
gotta talk
Far
about
Cry.
Far
But
Cry.
Far Cry, yeah. I don't necessarily want to talk about Far Cry, but how are you enjoying the new gaming computer?
Oh, very much.
Yeah?
I feel like
Converted.
Yeah, dude, you're in the master race.
I was already converted. I just like
right.
I was exiled. It felt like
Yeah.
Never.
I could. Okay, well,
I was
Oh.
waiting for you to get a new computer and go back to playing games that didn't require a new computer.
yeah. You have been logging a lot of hours in War Thunder.
I love War Thunder.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for War Thunder.
I can understand that.
It's
It is fun.
I like flying.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
like flying games.
You should check out
And-
World of Tanks. I'm pretty sure that's free.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't
I
like
played a lot of
tanks.
World of Tanks. It's the
I
same
don't like.
thing.
I know, but I don't
tanks.
like tanks.
It's the same.
It's
thing.
I don't like
just a good
tanks.
game.
It's the same
Fair
as War
enough.
Thunder.
What-
I mean,
clarify that you don't like tanks.
Because they're on the ground.
So yeah, I don't like.
6 pedals, 4 directions.
It's a slow crawling vehicle to manage with heavy guns. I don't like that style of playing.
Most
Like, so
tanks
you
are
don't
not
like-
slow.
You don't like playing as a tank,
Yeah.
but it's not like a blanket statement of like I don't like tanks.
Oh,
He's
I
a
just like
real
no,
life
like
grudge
I
against
mean, like
tanks.
the world would be better without tanks, probably. But
Wow, horses would
Like-
die a lot more.
right.
The world would be better without
I don't have a
horses.
particular. I don't have a
That's
particular
true.
grudge against tanks.
Okay, I was concerned. 'cause,
Okay,
like,
fair
tanks
enough.
are fucking cool.
Well, what do horses
They
do?
are neat to look at and see the things that they
Nay.
do.
What don't they do?
Well,
Like-
see, they used to do a lot, but now they
Yeah.
don't because we have metal horses.
For the record, if anybody ever said, "Hey, Andrew, you want to go drive a tank in real life?" Fuck yes is the
Yeah.
answer.
Well,
Like, I don't care. Like real
I-
tanks, that's a whole nother.
I just want to get in a decommissioned tank. I will do anything that is tank related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would go hang out on a tank and shit.
Yeah.
Like that'd be cool. I just don't want a video game one.
I
That's
almost
what we need to
bit the
do.
bullet.
I have a real life dungeon I have to crawl. Do you want to be the one that takes all the damage for me and make sure I can go
Meat
flat?
shield. Dude, if you could dungeon crawl on the first person's an A10 Abrams, right? Or A1 Abrams, right? Going through a dungeon, the skeletons, this fucking tank comes down the hallway.
Some gnolls like
I'm about
go
to drop
stab."
the hammer and dispense some indiscriminate justice.
That would scare some quillback razorback
some Razorback Quillbores.
some razorback quillbores.
Yeah, boy.
So they're guarding their underground fortress and
Speaking of
A1s come rolling
planes,
through.
I got the bug really bad last 2 weeks to play another flight sim. I keep thinking about playing Eve Valkyrie on the VR and just looking at joysticks. And currently one of the better rated joysticks that's only $400 is a replica of the A10 Warthog joystick.
Neat.
It
That's
looks
cool.
identical. It's pretty much the same thing. And I'm
I don't
like,
know what
"Oh,
that looks like, but I like it.
It's got a hat. It's got
a hat.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's got a little hat for your thumb, and this trick and the throttle. It's a HOTAS, hands on throttle and stick, which means you got the speed and the
Yeah, you got the henna and the.
oh man,
Yeah.
it feels so good. Pulling Edelman, you're like, "Ugh." Just
Yeah.
it's great.
I still want to get Steel Battalion.
Is
I know
Eva
that
cool?
game is like fucking 15 years old
Can
now.
you still play it? I
Yeah.
thought it was like multiplayer only.
No.
Steel Battalion for our audience was a kind of mech warrior game. You're in a big mech, but it required a $200
Mhm.
physical
Peripheral, yeah.
cockpit,
I remember when
With
that came out.
buttons
Fuck
and
yeah.
triggers and joysticks, and
So they made a second Steel Battalion on the Xbox One. It was like a launch title for the One.
Oh.
Yeah, it was supposed to work with the Kinect, but you could also use the Steel Battalion controller.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Spend $200 on a
Right.
peripheral for
Then,
one
you don't get to
game.
use it.
So you can plug it into the PC though.
Yeah,
So
I would assume they'd have some
there's
compatibility
third-party
there.
support for the Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Just
like
rebind it.
I feel like I've missed so much in gaming, being away from a computer that'll
Yeah.
play a lot of shit.
Well, you were talking about it earlier. RTSs are no more.
That's sad to me. Somebody get out there and make a great
I
RTS.
feel sad because it's one less game type that I get to play. That being said, it's been a long time since I played a really good RTS.
They were my favorite type of game growing up, like hands down. I would
they might have
spend.
been mine
you can
too.
blame Command and Conquer
Why? That was a good game.
because I think it's
Red
Command and
Alert?
Conquer that tried to keep innovating
Mm-hmm.
in the RTS field, and they kept failing at
Yeah.
it.
So we were also talking about the introduction of like hero units. You don't think that had anything to do with it?
No, I think that branched off and became its own genre of games. So
That did not
The
replace
argument was that
RTSs,
did
just
not
created
replace
its own.
RTSs. I would argue. I think the Command and Conquer games was the logical like continuation of an RTS field, but I think that they killed their own genre by releasing like 5 sequential bad RTS games.
The last few Command and Conquer games were not very good.
To be fair, the only one I played was Red Alert 3, and I never really liked Command and Conquer that much. I always enjoyed the StarCraft universe much more.
You liked Red Alert 3?
That was the one I played.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much I liked it.
I feel like that was like the downfall of the Command and Conquer series, and that's when RTS started to like go out of vogue. I feel.
Okay.
Here's the question I kind of ask myself: like, when you have a genre of game, and you have some games that come out in that genre that, like, quintessentially show this is the best way you can do this type of game, you have to go somewhere with it,
Sure.
right? Otherwise, you keep getting copies. Like we had originally Diablo came out, and the button masher action hero game. There's a million clones,
Yeah.
and like you're not going to do as good as Diablo. So eventually, they start changing. So if we ask ourselves now, what would we want to see out of an RTS that would make it as good / as engaging as Warcraft 3, Red Alert 1 and 2,
It'd be tough.
StarCraft?
Because StarCraft is the king
If
still.
you don't
I
add
mean,
something new, it's like these have already been optimized. StarCraft is
Here's the thing,
it's
like
StarCraft, right?
exactly. I don't necessarily need something new out of an RTS. I just want something that a
Then
lot
you
of
should play
people are
StarCraft
playing.
you should play StarCraft.
Are a lot of people still playing StarCraft?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Mike still plays it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's big.
Okay,
I
well
think
then
you
fuck.
would
I guess I know what I'm
like
downloading.
that. Yeah,
All right,
StarCraft.
fuck.
Dude,
'Cause-
when
so when I say I played like Red Alert, so I'm talking about RTSs, and I guess at the end of the day, I love StarCraft. That's what it was. Because the only reason I played Red Alert 2 was an attempt to branch out from StarCraft.
RTS, by the way, real-time strategy, commanding selections.
If you
of
don't know
units.
that, get the fuck out of here. What are
Yeah.
you listening to us for?
no, he's lying. Stick around. We're gonna talk Skyrim soon.
stands for
so.
really tiny
Everybody
sticks.
likes
You have
Skyrim.
to juggle.
Yeah, really tiny sticks. I like that.
But StarCraft 2 has a huge player base.
Well, then I guess that's what I'm fucking downloading
it's
here. in
it's
the next
still one
couple
of the
days.
biggest esports.
All right.
So it's got a big following.
It's time to
In
go. It's time to go learn
Korea.
from some Koreans.
Well, that you get fucked up by Koreans for about 3 to 6 years while you get good enough to win a couple.
That sounds all right.
Yeah.
That sounds all
Because
right.
I mean, you're gonna get your shit pushed in.
StarCraft 2 has been out for like a decade. Of course I am.
Yeah.
I'm a little behind the curve
Yeah,
here.
dude. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough.
But that'll be my experiment.
Yeah.
I remember being really embarrassed once. I almost never played Warcraft 3 standard multiplayer PvP. I was like, why do that when there's all these user-made maps? And we had a female friend that we all know when we were in high school that played it, and she was trying to talk me into playing just a standard PvP. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. She's like, don't worry, I got a strategy. Let's just do this. So we pop in, start playing. I don't know who messed up, who read it wrong, but I could have sworn she said, I need you to make as many peons as you can. Like the building units that are not combat units. I was like, you told me you had a strategy. I'm just going to nod and smile. And she's like, okay, meet me here. We're about ready to go combat. So I show up. She's got a whole bunch of, what were the standard warriors called? Just the grunts, right?
I think they were
And
just
I came
grunts.
with like 47 peons. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, I'm doing what you told me. And we immediately lost and we didn't play another game.
Dude, yeah, just not enough Zug Zug.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to do Grunt Rush. And somehow I read peon.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did not work.
I can't imagine it would.
No.
No.
It was funny.
You know, it probably had a pretty decent amount of gold.
Command and Conquer Generals, I think, was the beginning of the downhill
You-
aspect of it.
That was
But
the
I think-
one after Red Alert 3, right?
No, Red Alert 3 came out after Generals.
Oh, interesting.
A couple of years.
I think
actually.
you're right because Generals was not good. I just thought that came after
Yeah,
3.
a little too cartoony.
Yeah.
It was weirdly cartoony. Like they tried to upgrade the graphics, but it
Mhm.
ended up looking worse. You had the 3 factions which you had no attachment to. It was just like generic America, generic Chinese, and then generic terrorists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great one-liners.
That's
we
what
still
was
use
great
today.
about. So this probably does not come across very well, but that was what was really fun about Red Alert 3. You could play as the terrorists. I did enjoy fucking.
If I want to be a
the fucking
terrorist, I'm going to be a
vans and
space
shit.
terrorist, and I'm going to play
Sure.
Nod. I'm going to be the Brotherhood of Nod
Yeah.
from Tiberian Sun,
Fair enough.
and I'm going to have freaking the Lone Star from Spaceballs is like the head leader guy of the GDI for Tiberian Sun. Like I don't even I don't know what he looks like. I'm not going to look it up, but in my head, whoever the guy is that plays like the main general for the GDI in Tiberian Sun
It's like Lone Star.
has been replaced by Lone Star in my head. That is like I know what Lone Star looks like. So guy leather jacket flying space planes around.
Space vans.
Space man. Winnebagos.
Here's a good progression, new take maybe on the RTS. You start small scale with group squads of units, right? And you have a basic base building. But as you grow, you get to build actual bases, and then you eventually zoom out to like fighting over the planet, and then you zoom out to fighting like in space.
What
And
was
you could do like a multiplayer thing where each player, they're all playing in a real-time server, fighting each other with armies, but the more you play, you get to zoom out farther and farther and go higher and higher up the chain of command and eventually be doing orbital strikes and whatnot. And it goes from a really fast-paced, tactical, small-scale battle to slowly going out to a more complex strategic decisions that take place over a long period of time. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Do you guys remember that game? It was similar to that, where you played as a first-person view, and it was sort of like a shooter mixed with an RTS. It was an old PC game.
Yeah, you're talking about Savage.
Savage. That was it.
Mhm.
That was it. It had kind of cartoony graphics.
That's not even close to what he's talking about.
You're talking about
You
people
you
were
did
playing as like
FPS.
a unit, but then
Right.
there was one player that played as overhead and they could build buildings and
Right.
tell people to go.
Yeah, I mean, not directly related, but it's sort of in a similar vein where you have like these 2 scopes that the game is operating
sure.
on.
At least there are 2 levels of gameplay to
Yeah.
that. I don't equate the same. I don't think it's the same thing, but
I was just trying to guess what he was saying.
yeah, you nailed it. But I just
No, that's that.
I thought he meant another dropped fucking
But do you
bomb.
mean like no first-person
I thought
view?
you
It's
saw
just
more
like
planet side.
Do you guys hear about
Oh,
Dust
yeah, Planet Side.
Dust 541
Yeah.
back a while? So you know about Eve, Andrew? Eve Online?
I've heard it's like a space.
It's Excel in space. It's so,
Yeah, that's
excellence.
long story short, they tried to make a first-person shooter game where the people would play on the console as these first-person units in a shooting game, but it was tied in real time to the Eve computer game. And Eve players could come in with their ships and do like drop strikes, ODST and stuff. Amazing concept. And I don't know exactly what happened other than I remember there being shitty freemium DLC stuff and it kind of fell and died. But more cross contamination in that way I think would be really good, especially with how far technology is coming and we're getting more and more into not necessarily tablets but wireless. Like the Switch is
So
going
almost
crazy.
like where 2 games are operating in one umbrella game.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
neat.
No, that'd be interesting.
Asymmetrical play.
Sure.
They promised that with fucking Division.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
That
Never
looked really
happened.
neat when they were hyping it up.
Control a drone from your smartphone.
That game did not
Drop
turn
in,
out
drop
well,
out
huh?
gameplay.
I mean, the reception wasn't great especially at launch.
The game sucked.
Yeah.
The game fucking sucked. I played it day one. It
No
was
good.
a fraction of what it said it was. It, like you ran around in a generic city looting stuff to find different colored sweaters. And as you
Yeah.
did the most generic
about to get cold.
fucking and every enemy in that game is just a bullet sponge.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the only thing that changed in that game, you got better weapons, you got better gear, which was like this backpack is blue, so it's a better backpack. Like not like item quality level, like this physically just a blue backpack was better. but the enemies would just take more damage.
Okay.
So and then like you're supposed to go into the dark sector at the end of the game for all the end game content, or run these end game like raids, essentially like these dungeons that you'd run into. But they're fucking boring. They're extremely difficult because you're just dumping round after round into like
One
five
thing.
dudes. You know, it's not like a Warcraft boss where you're moving around and changing what you're doing and stuff and have neat mechanics. It's just like, can you dump 1,000,000 rounds without dying into this fat guy with a flamethrower? Yeah, the game sucked.
It had about 3 to 5 hours at most where everything looked and felt great. And then you pretty quickly see behind the cardboard image, you're like, oh, that's all of it.
Yeah, you kept
And
playing after I did, didn't I?
I played to end game. I played for quite because we had people I played with.
Mhm.
So anytime there's a game that you can play with other real life people,
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
it just upgrades at like 3
Oh,
levels.
100%.
Hugely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I played it quite a bit, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything great.
And I would agree. Like the game, you got really excited when you first get in there.
Yeah, like,
Like,
you
oh,
get
I'm
to,
gonna
like-
you're gonna upgrade your like headquarters and like
Do
go
all these
get all these things
things
done.
and
And
you're like, everything's starting to feel samey.
yeah,
All these buildings are the same.
but for me, the game that I think was the biggest letdown
Destiny.
was fucking Destiny.
Destiny. Yeah.
Never played that one either.
For me, that was just like they had described and set up a world that I was chomping at the bit to sink my teeth into.
What is
I
the
was like-
setting?
It's sci-fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi setting.
Okay.
Made by the people that made Halo.
Mm.
Complete new storyline.
It's the reason 343 took over Halo is so that Bungie could do this other property.
and
Okay.
it was going to be a console-based MMO.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, you're hitting a lot of my fucking trigger
Check,
words
check.
here. Let's see what we're getting into. And then just like, I think the year leading up to its release was just like a constant snowball of like, that's not what you said it was going to be. That's not what was going to be said. Oh, that's not good. Okay. And then you get into the game and you're like, okay, I think legitimately I had experienced all the content in Destiny maybe 3 days in. Within the first like 20 hours that I put into that game, I had done everything, including the end game raid boss.
One of their taglines is it was going to be a 10-year development cycle for the game. That's how long the game was going to last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, what I remember happening, I don't know if anybody knows the specifics, but like less than a year before the game's release date, they pretty much scrapped everything they had.
The lead
and
story
restarted.
developer got quit or fired.
Yeah.
And
And
all
they
his
had to,
stuff
like,
was, like not
panic
finished.
and get like remake the game almost, and then release it in this zombie Frankenstein state.
So yeah, so you got to think
okay.
about this stuff. Like, so they got Peter Dinklage to do the voice of the little robot that follows you around, but then they gave Peter Dinklage a
This before or
robot-
after his like stardom?
Game of Thrones had already
During.
been-
Okay,
Yeah, it's
all
during.
right.
It was
during.
like
Yeah.
season 3 of Game of Thrones.
Gotcha.
I don't know what the time frame is, but yes, people know who Peter Dinklage
Okay.
was, so it was a big deal. And then they overlay his voice with like a robot tone because he's a robot, and they have him read his lines like he's a robot. I'm like, why would you take an expressive and iconic person and then bleach all flavor out of him to be your robotic son?
Robots
Yeah.
in the future can't have regular voices.
I think
Yeah.
every good robot that anyone has ever
Should.
loved lays the
Yeah.
groundwork that yes, they have-
or it whistles and toots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and still had more personality than the ghost.
Yeah.
So I think it's called ghosts, right?
Yeah, as a ghost.
So and then, man, all the storyline content you have like almost no idea what you're doing in this game. You got set up this like initial premise to where this giant orb showed up at Earth.
Like quarter of the moon-sized orb just
Yeah.
hovering right over the surface of Earth.
Yes.
It's white.
And there's something in it, and it's there protecting Earth, and it's like training you guys up. It's like giving powers to the Guardians, which is what you are. You play a Guardian of one of the 3 classes. You know, that's your character class type, and you're preparing for something to happen. Like humans are almost wiped out, and this thing saved us at the last second. You don't fucking know all the lore that ended up in that final release of that game ended up being in cards that you would find a card in game, like, oh, you found the Zarblex card. Then you would have to go online to the
Yeah, I
website
forgot
or your
about that.
phone app and look at the card. And then on the back of the card, there's like a paragraph of fluff on what that thing is. So you had to try to glean almost everything that was going on in this game from going to the
Yeah.
computer and reading the card backs.
What the fuck were they thinking?
It'd literally for you. It'd be like
Yeah.
trying to figure out everything that's going on in L5R just reading flavor text off of cards.
Yeah.
Which is cool in that game.
Yeah.
Flavor text is amazing.
But imagine
Yes.
if instead of flavor text it says, please go to this URL to read the flavor
Dude.
text.
Yes, yeah,
That was my main hang up is like
Final Fantasy 9.
why not
Oh,
yeah.
with the
Play
strategy-
online.
Oh my
That's
God.
wild, man. I can't what the
Yeah.
fuck were they thinking?
I was thinking that too.
we don't
Yeah.
know.
That's
I
That's
don't know what
bizarre.
happened. I mean, obviously people are still dumb, so they made shitloads of money, which made them keep going and stuff like that. But it was just bad.
Andy
Speaking of
and
little
I-
lovable robots.
Go ahead.
You're playing Borderlands 3 right now, right?
I am playing Borderlands 3.
Claptrap in there.
Yes, he is.
That's my favorite little robot.
Claptrap's amazing.
That's all I
I'm
wanted
making
to
him a
say.
little female Claptrap.
Oh, okay.
Yep, named Veronica.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Fun.
So he can get his interface on.
Same voice though.
That's
Oh,
Claptrap?
No, yeah. So
No.
you're making Claptrap. You're making Claptrap a voice.
It's a different voice
It
actor.
might be a different voice actor. It's still Claptrap.
Yeah,
I'm
they made it
dancing.
work.
I'm dancing. Yeah.
They're not getting another dime of my money.
So
Borderlands?
Yeah.
Why? What'd they do?
Not only did they fuck over the original voice actor for Claptrap, they did all this Epic Games bullshit, and I do not stand for it.
Oh, for the CEO being a huge d-bag.
Well,
and all
not
that
only
jazz?
he's a whole nice
He-
little
yeah,
shit
he's a-
cherry on top
yeah.
of the cake, but I am terrified of exclusivity in PC games. I also completely understand companies not always wanting to go to Steam and making it a giant. I don't think the way Epic Games is doing things is good, and I don't like it, and it scares me.
Mhm.
So I will not be supporting them.
what do you mean when you say exclusivity in games? I didn't understand. I didn't follow
Andy
that
can
term.
probably describe this the best.
So, Epic launched their own launcher, their own game launcher.
Gotcha.
So, a Steam competitor. They have very few games of their own that they could launch on that platform, and they wanted to start launching third-party games through their launcher and have a storefront. In order to get a better library faster, they started offering game companies money for exclusivity
Ah,
over Steam. Now, it's
like
it's
up front, right?
upfront. Yeah, we will give
Like,
you $2.5
You
million.
may not necessarily have anything beyond concept of a project.
That's how all exclusivity works.
Okay.
The company comes
For the
in and
most part,
says,
yeah.
Launch with us only,
Mhm.
and we'll give
Okay.
you X amount of
Yeah.
money.
But it is kind of the first time that it's happened in the PC space because now everybody's coming up with their own launchers instead of launching through Steam.
Okay.
And the reason most companies are doing that is so they don't have to give Steam a cut. So all EA games go through Origin, all Epic games go through the Epic Store, et cetera, et cetera. Where Steam has always been, I mean, they have, like, Valve has their own games that they sell in the store, but it's known mostly for their third-party
Yeah.
publications. So the issue most people have with it is the paid exclusivity. Now, to soften that blow a little bit, is Epic Games does give the developers, well, the game company, the publisher, a larger cut of its sales than Steam does. And I don't remember the numbers on it, but it's significant. It's like upwards of I think it's 18% if they have exclusivity. So
For
they-
now, though, right?
well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The thing is, they've also said, hey, we will stop offering money for exclusivity if you will match us in our cut. They said that
Okay.
to they
Alright.
said that to Valve about Steam.
All right.
That's also kind of wishy-washy. Steam does offer a lot more services and has a much larger platform to deliver to, bandwidth costs, etc. I don't think it's necessarily out of greed their cut is larger than the Epic Games Store, and I also don't think they have to because Steam is not at a launching point. They are established
They've been around for
Yeah.
15
for
years.
well over a
They're
decade.
getting Netflixed.
pretty much.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Yeah.
When Epic Games came out and it first started happening, I mean, we've all heard horror stories about Steam customer support, but
Yeah.
it's hit and miss, touch and go,
Mhm.
changed around the years.
They have gotten better.
They have. Some of the stuff I heard about Epic was bad.
It's pretty bad.
Mind you, when they first came out and they're like buying all these games and making them exclusive. Mind you, some of these games said that they were going to release on Steam.
Yeah.
And people bought them on
Yes.
Steam, and then they turn around and can't use it through Steam. At that time, Epic Game Store literally didn't even have a shopping cart.
Yes.
You couldn't like have a shopping cart when you're going to buy the games. I think you had to do it individually.
You had to do individual games,
So
so you couldn't load up a
individual
shopping cart.
transactions on your card per game.
Yeah.
But I mean, this list came out. I got this one pulled up February here. Just 31 positive features Steam has that Epic did. And some of these are really basic.
Yeah, like refund
know,
policy.
A profile
Yeah.
for you,
Right.
reviews on games.
Yeah.
You know, and
I love the reviews on games.
Now, they Epic is still adding features to their launcher, so you have to give them that. But they didn't. They could have come out the gates swinging a little bit harder. Offering more services would
especially
have made them
when
a
there's an
competitor.
established platform
Exactly.
that you can like model after. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, that's the big problem that I have with it. Is
Yeah.
they came out with
You've
what
seen what's
was a really
successful.
half-assed product.
I
Yeah.
was talking to Adam about it as like, if we look at this, take a step back, put ourselves in Epic's shoes, we know Steam is this monster that's had 10, 15, 20 years to develop.
Yeah.
Just like people trying to clone Warcraft or any other big business, you can't try to do the same thing because you're just going to make a shittier version. So what can Epic do to be attractive to users, right, to get people away from Steam?
Mhm.
They're trying the exclusivity thing. And I talked with Adam. We shot forth back a handful of ideas, the ideas of having some like in-game achievements tied to your store to give you discounts, or more stuff like Mixer and Twitch interaction stuff. But just the idea of making games exclusive, it grates in my bones with a knife. I hate it, and I don't like it.
For me, it doesn't bother me as much as it does you guys, and not even in a devil's advocate kind of way. It just doesn't bother me as much. A lot of people's argument is I don't want another launcher. For me, I don't care.
That's my biggest argument, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for me, I don't care. I'd rather have a few launchers than have single installed games. You know what I mean?
I haven't been on PC in a while. Can you play these games offline?
Some of them. Some of them require an always online connection.
Because I mean, I think that's the real argument to be made here: is if by going to these exclusivity
Mhm.
launchers, can you still just play the game offline, or are we going to an era to
don't-
where they require that launcher is active?
I don't think the launcher affects that.
It's on a game by game basis.
Yeah, it depends on the company that's making the
Yeah.
game and the publisher who's making the game.
Okay. that's
So
good.
yeah, so if the game has always online features,
So then I'd
it
argue
has to be.
that there is no requirement that any company join with Steam or Epic or anything like that.
Right.
Like, there's no pressure to become a new launcher because it's PC and you can just launch a game.
Yeah, you can just
It's-
go to your website.
It's not like an Xbox or a PlayStation or something like that where you have to launch on somebody else's platform. It's just PC.
I'm a little
Well, no, it
confused.
is. You can only get some of these games through the Epic platform,
For example,
or through Steam.
Origin, like the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
You can't play those games unless you play them through the launcher.
Yeah.
They're like you play.
No, I understand.
Titanfall
But
2.
I think his point is being like the launcher is not necessary except for out of like tradition at this point. Like at the end of the day, you can release games to download without a launcher.
You could.
yeah,
Yes.
like
You
the
wouldn't have
the
an
need.
audience.
There is no
Yeah, the
need
audience would be
for
a lot
that.
smaller.
Sure,
Why?
like you
What-
run that risk. You run that
Because-
risk, but it's not a necessity.
Yes, and that's what I say.
Yes,
So like
I agree.
if I had a game and I was going to launch on Steam, I would know that I have the Steam community to advertise my game's launch to, and it's at their fingertips.
Yeah.
But if I make a good game,
Where are
then
you going to advertise it?
I mean,
you do normal
That's part of the
advertising.
Conventional
project. That's part of the
advertising, right?
problem.
what everyone
yeah.
did that
Yeah.
hasn't launched a game through Steam
If it was that easy and profitable, why wouldn't people be doing that now?
Not
They
saying
do.
that it's easy.
Who?
all the time.
Name a game that doesn't use Steam or Epic or something like that on PC.
I would argue that almost every game can be played without those.
No.
I-
Anymore, your purchases are going to do that. So you can go
The
to
last
the
couple
company's
of-
website and it will say, download now. It will launch Steam for you.
The last couple of
that
PC
permalink
games
takes you to
I bought
Steam
at Fred
powered.
Meyer had Steam codes in the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, you don't
They
get
even have a
discs
CD.
anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that shows how out of touch I am. I thought you could still just get
Almost
a lot of
never.
these
It's
games.
legitimate, and I actually wonder why. Now I know I play a lot of smaller indie games. A lot of them still use Steam,
Yep.
but you can still buy the game through their like Spiderweb software. Makes
Yeah.
these old school computer RPGs.
Or
I
good old
love.
games will often give you the
Good old games I really like too, but they're a little
they
different.
have a launcher now.
Yeah, I've been using it for a while.
Yeah. Whereas they used to just give you like the executable.
Yeah,
Right.
no DRM.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, still no DRM, but they have their own launcher now.
yeah. I use it.
It's fine.
Good Old Games is if I can get a game on Good Old Games,
Yeah.
I'll get it there before I get on Steam.
That's how I got The Witcher and
Just
a
for
bunch
competition.
of games.
Ooh, I should play The Witcher on PC.
Yep, that'll still kill your
Yeah.
PC.
Good.
Yeah.
Andy says all these things because he always plays on maximum.
Right,
plus
exactly.
10%
Yeah,
quality.
yeah. Like
You-
I
you'll
could
be
turn
fine.
it down.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You
If can
could.
play Far Cry 5.
you could, but then you're not really
But
playing
you can
the
play
game.
Far Cry 5 and I'm pretty sure
Well,
you can play Witcher 3.
Probably. Witcher 3 is poorly optimized.
Mm.
Yeah. That's its problem. I mean, it's graphically gorgeous, right? But it
once
is-
you take off the dress, it's a fat bitch.
yeah, 100%, dude. So yeah, it's gorgeous, but at an extreme cost. So it's just
course, that
it's an
whole-
issue
all
of
that shit in.
optimization. It doesn't really matter how good of a PC you throw at it. There's going to be some severe, FPS dips and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just is what it is.
No, I noticed that in Far Cry already. I had to turn on the VSync.
Also, kind of a bloated game.
yeah. I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm playing single player. I don't care
Mhm.
if my input lag is whatever.
Yeah.
A few time blips that I won't notice smaller or slower.
You guys just about ready to take a break?
Sure.
Let's do it. Hey everyone, Andy here. Just wanted to take a quick second to remind you guys that we can always be found on btpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Play Music, and anywhere else you might listen to your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube a day later if that's your thing. We don't have video yet, but we would very much love to in the future. And of course, you can always help us get there by remembering to subscribe, like, comment, or review our podcasts anywhere you listen. But beyond all that stuff, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you all for listening, making the Balcony Time podcast part of your week. We love doing this for you, and our community has been so great to us. So give yourself a pat on the back, and I'll quit talking so you can get back to listening. Now back to the Balcony Time podcast. So is anybody interested in playing Gears 5 with me?
No.
No.
I could probably be convinced.
Yeah?
Do you want to
So-
pay for it?
Well, just do a month of Xbox Game Pass. It's on the Game Pass.
I don't have an Xbox.
You don't have to have an Xbox. You can use Xbox Game Pass on the PC.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah.
Pretty
Microsoft's
awesome.
crossing like all their shit.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
pay on a PC a service for a console to play a game on the PC.
No,
It allows you to play on both.
it's just the Microsoft Game Pass.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay money to play
To play video
a
games?
game that I then have to buy. Why
You
would
don't
I
have to buy
it.
It's a
can
it's
rent
a
it.
subscription service.
You could
brand
pay,
new game and you don't have to buy it?
You
Yes.
can rent it.
You could probably get the Game Pass for $1.
Oh, so this is like Blockbuster,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
okay.
Online.
It's like what everybody's doing right now.
At least in
Well,
France. Everybody's doing
PlayStation
it in
Plus,
France.
Xbox Game Pass, Origin Play. I mean, everybody's fucking doing it.
I
It's
don't
all
know
the
who
rage.
Everybody is. If everybody was jumping off a DLC bridge, would you do it too?
No, because fuck DLC. Just
I jump off a higher bridge, do a flip into a lake,
a
and make an
DLC.
awesome splash.
So, how many games are doing this Neo Blockbuster thing? Because this is the first time I've heard of it. I play games all
How
the
many
time.
games? I don't know. A lot.
1,000.
I mean, a shitload.
How have I not heard of this?
So for Origin, you can pay like $5.99 a month, and you get access to their entire game library.
Oh,
The only one I want is the free one anyway. So
there's no there's no free subscription service. You know,
there is. It's
Microsoft
called the Waves. You have to
GameFly is still a
apply
thing.
them.
GameFly is still a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
you can rent games out of the red boxes too, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you
Yeah.
still can. Yeah.
can be covered in fingerprints and Dorito dust.
Yeah. Plus, they're not going to be PC games.
Apple Arcade.
Apple Arcade. So
Penny Arcade talked about
Apple
it, I think.
Arcade looks pretty interesting. It's relatively inexpensive. I think it's like $5 a month.
This has it listed as $5 a month.
Yeah. And that means that that also gives access to 5 people. So you put 5 people in your family, and everybody in the family has access to it.
Oh,
Here's a
okay.
question: are these all the games that I've already played? Because I'm 32.
They have a lot of exclusives, so no. And there's a lot of games launching that are going to be exclusive to it. So I don't know how you're going to feel about that, but
And this is for the iPhone.
most of them are going to be for iPhone.
Oh, well, I don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you asked us to list game subscription services.
And that is
Yes.
one.
And I'm also just
Apple Arcade,
narking on all of them.
PlayStation Now, Xbox Game Pass,
Okay.
EA Access, Origin Access, Uplay Plus, Uplay Plus. There.
Never see a minus. It's always
And,
plus.
well,
Well, it's Uplay, so it's
PlayStation
implied.
Plus.
yeah, it's
Xbox
true.
Plus.
It's applied.
Ubisoft, you just put a
Yeah.
few negatives in front of it. This game may explode.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the publishers are like, yeah, for a monthly fee, you have access to this many titles.
I don't like. I miss the days when you find a magazine and there's an address and you mail a check to a guy and he sends you floppy drives and there's a game on it
Yeah.
and you can those were the days.
What? Dude, I want the shareware model to come back, like the Doom shareware model.
It doesn't make any money. It won't ever come back.
It should make money, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to come back. So whatever they need to
Fucking
do,
worked great for Doom, dude. They
Yeah.
took a huge risk on that and it blew.
paid the fuck off. Yeah.
Everybody was playing.
Yeah.
Doom.
Why? So in the age of digital distribution and like obviously like even games that first come out, they'll have day one DLC. Why don't they have demos? Why doesn't every game
That's a good question.
have a fucking demo?
Because then you're getting to play it for free.
Because you're going to know what's wrong with their game before you pay for it.
Boom.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
probably
Yeah,
it.
that might be it. Yeah,
That's
that might
why
be
I
it.
get so timid about buying games nowadays.
You have to wait.
Honestly, besides the last like 2 games I've played, I think I've pirated the previous 10 games on the PC. And of 8 of those, after the first couple hours, I turned around and bought them.
And you do get demos, by the way,
Yeah.
all the time. It's called a beta.
Okay, sure.
They are. I
Yeah.
mean, you think about it, that's what a beta is a demo. of
But
the
out-
game.
but
a lot of
but
betas
post-release-
nowadays, like Steam Early Access.
I guarantee you most demos probably weren't post-released versions.
There were a lot of post-release demos.
I don't know.
Yeah,
They're
that was
normally-
that was a
The
common
demos
thing.
I recall getting were like out of cereal boxes for weird ass fucking games. that-
Sure, but you could. But
I
if you
never
had
knew
like
when they
a
actually came
subscription
out.
to PlayStation Magazine, it came with a
Oh,
demo
Sure,
like every other
yeah,
month.
yeah, you're right.
And
Okay,
most
I
of those
remember that
games
too.
were already out. That's how I learned about Tony Hawk.
I imagine. I remember a lot of those demos. They came out the same, essentially, day the game came out.
Yeah, usually
So post-release, I mean, kind of
Post-
You also
release
don't
or
know
just
when that
pre-release.
demo was created.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
That's what
If
It
it's
might-
on the
it might be
PlayStation
an-
Magazine disc, it might have still been out.
it might be an early
before-
version of the game, or sure, but like why? There is no reason, since distribution is so much easier, that you
Yes.
couldn't put a game a demo.
couple
I would
levels or
agree. There's
something.
no reason we should have a demo for every game
Yeah.
that's out.
Some games, like I mentioned Spiderweb Software earlier, he still does demos. He makes these long computer RPGs, and the demos are like 10 hours long.
Mhm.
You do like the first area.
Yeah.
And like you have time to sink your teeth in. You're like, okay, we like this. And they're like, okay, now I need to pay the $15.
That's
and I
exactly
get
how long a demo should be.
Yeah,
10 hours. The problem is if you have a 10-hour demo
Not necessarily
nowadays,
10 hours.
That's
Yeah.
90% of most games' entire playthrough.
Yes.
So-
but
Tell
long
that
enough to
like,
sink your
every
teeth in
Halo.
and then yank it away from
The problem is like we were talking about Division, like these demos would have to be about 17 minutes long to
Yeah.
have like the same coefficient of, okay, I got my teeth into it before you realize, oh, that was all there.
I'd be
there
fine
was.
with like a 30-minute demo where you don't get past tutorials. Like if I could understand the game mechanics and get a little bit of a feel
Sure.
of that, see how it runs on my PC.
You know what
and just
replaced demos
play
for
around with
me?
it a little bit.
Let's Plays.
Yeah,
think that's
oh
part
well,
of it.
that's true.
If I want to
That's
see
true.
if I like a game, I watch a guy I trust play it and I see what he says
That's a
about
good
it.
point.
I've got
That's
like
true.
30 YouTubers and I've curated them. I know what they like and I know why I like what they like.
Mhm.
And if this guy likes it, I know I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like
you like too
reviews.
many people.
I do. Yeah.
I'm far less agreeable on YouTube than that.
I like a lot of people
The
as
thing
well.
is there's a lot of people on YouTube. And
Yeah.
a lot of them are dumb.
No, I know.
But yeah.
Even so, like there's like 3 that I can consistently watch.
yeah.
A lot of the big game releases, I'm going to watch like Funhouse, and I agree with most of their opinions.
I
on
do want to
games.
point out, I'm going to step up and slam the jam. Most YouTubers are fucking terrible at video games, and it drives me bonkers.
Yes.
I cannot stand how many times I'm like, okay, this guy's got a decent voice, decent setup, he's playing. I'm like, what are you doing Why are you? No. And I get like 10 minutes into it, and I start yelling at my phone, and I have to stop.
Yeah, that's like it's,
Yeah.
if it's not that, it's many other reasons that I
Like I said,
stop
I have a
watching.
curated list. It took me a while,
So
but
as I was downloading Apex Legends to play with you guys, I was watching Shroud play because I wanted to make sure that it was going to be worth my download. And when I got in, I was like, "This is not the same experience." That's because I'm not Shroud.
Yeah.
Like,
They are two different experiences.
yeah,
Being good at that game and being bad at that game.
yes. I wouldn't say I'm bad.
we're all bad at that.
I'm in
I'm
the
bad at that
50th
game.
percentile.
That means you're bad.
Eh,
That's failing grade in school.
school. Eh.
Apex school for legends.
Well, I graduated. I got my fucking chicken dinner.
Season 3 comes
An
out
F
though,
minus.
next month, start of October. It's
Yeah.
a brand new map.
Yeah.
They're literally
Yeah.
taking them off of that planet,
Mhm.
and you're going to an entirely new area.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will.
I'm excited.
So I do want to play it again because it's been a little while, and I've got the itch. And Andrew's got a new computer, so we can introduce somebody to Apex and have some fun with it.
I haven't even launched it yet. It's sitting there ready to go.
Yeah, you downloaded it.
Oh, it's
good?
it's
Yeah.
been on. That was like one of the first games I
Okay.
got on there. I just
Question.
haven't loaded it yet.
When was the last time you heavily played a first-person shooter?
Overwatch on the Xbox.
Yeah, big
Recent,
difference.
though. Okay.
Last year.
Year and a half.
Limit your expectations for your success levels.
I'm not very good at first-person shooters. At least on the console, I'm not.
The PC, the console is Weenie Hut Jr.
Yeah.
When it comes, the
Right.
people that you're gonna face on the PC, laser dicks like rocket launcher, dolphin pods. The list goes on.
I got a few of those too, man.
You're
Like,
gonna get steamrolled,
Hard.
and you need to learn to enjoy it. And then you'll get a little better, and then you'll be comparable, and you'll be like, okay, I can now enjoy this game.
And then you'll get your first win, and
Yes.
that'll be that major dopamine hit, and then you'll feel bad
And to
for
be
another
honest,
few days.
that's where you peak, and you just play the game more and more. You get angry and salty until you stop playing.
I mean,
It's
you,
about a
you, peak,
6
you
month
have other
cycle.
peaks. Those peaks are just a little.
You guys are
know.
talking to somebody who just recently mentioned that they're willing to pick up a decades-old game
StarCraft 2.
and start beating their head against it.
Yeah. I don't mind the losses in Apex because I know, at least 50% of the people on that map are better than I am.
Sure.
Everybody, every guy our age thinks they used to be good at shooters.
I was.
I'm
I
gonna
used to be
throw that-
better.
That addendum out there.
I was
played-
good at one shooter in particular in my
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
of, for me, it was the first Modern Warfare. And
Yeah.
coming from I had played some shooters after that, but I hadn't had a PC in 5, 6, 7 years.
Mhm.
Hopping back on and playing Apex, just getting bodied.
Yeah.
Like no one's business. And my reflex, I don't know where they went.
I feel ya.
I can't keep up with these young whippersnappers.
No, I know.
It drives me bonkers.
I find that I tunnel vision playing games now.
I just die before I get to fucking turn around.
Yeah.
Part of it.
I think the tunnel vision comes from playing too much WoW for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to focus on WoW. New content. Oh wow, okay, this mechanic is just like this, and that mechanic is just like this. All right, cool, I got this down. We're going into phase 3. It looks like okay, we're gonna do this now. All right.
I have no
Cool.
idea if I'm good at first-person shooters.
You were pretty good at Halo.
Was I? Because
Yeah.
the sample size
Yeah,
was
that's
a
it comes down to
fraction
sample size.
of what it is now. Like,
Well, you did get to go to that con though that one time, and you did all right there.
150 people.
Sure, but gathered from a lot of different places, right? So there's
I
something
have
to be said
no
for that.
idea. That's the thing. Like nowadays, do you have no better litmus test than jumping into an online?
Sure, no, yeah, you
Shooter.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
But I don't know. I have good games. I have bad games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I have good
Apex is
nights.
a game where you don't ever. There's not a single time that I drop into that game and I'm like, I'm gonna win this match.
Right.
It's just never I'm gonna play and I'm gonna try to play my best and be smart, but odds are I'm going to lose.
How's your map knowledge in that game? Do you feel?
It's exquisite.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I can do in any map is have it down within the first 20 minutes of playing it.
Okay.
We also have to remember that Apex's netcode is like Cheese Whiz and used condoms.
I don't.
It's fucking horrible.
So the rabbit hole of
I love
things
Cheese Whiz.
that
Condoms are okay.
impacting my performance is one I go down frequently, and I try not to, but I go through spurts because I know that there's certain things, and I've been right too many times to where I fixed a problem that it was perceived, and my gameplay improved.
Okay.
So one of the most recent ones was that I was getting really frustrated that everything in Apex felt wrong, and I wanted. And Andy brought home that other TV, and I was like, this TV that I'm playing on is 10 years old, at least. It doesn't have any sort of game mode setting. It's a Vizio, which was decent, especially at the time it came out. That was when they were making a name for themselves.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know what kind of input lag it has.
Yeah.
And input lag is fucking real. Especially on, like, with your PC gaming, you rarely have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You do. You should.
Well, yeah, but you have monitors that have 1 millisecond input lag, mice that are less than 1 millisecond.
Yeah, exactly. Although, like I said, you should still know what you're doing because you can't. Which is why laptop gaming, I think, is risky.
Yeah.
Most Super
Sorry,
Smash
I'm
Brothers
super
tournaments are still played on CRTs.
Yeah.
You watch them, they'll have like 1,000 people sitting around, 2 people that are sitting next to a CRT just on the ground.
I just watched a video where someone went and talked about why CRTs are so much better. What was that video? Some YouTube videos. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Was it the CSGO guy?
I have no idea.
There are a lot of CSGO players, like tournament players, that play on CRTs.
This was just some articles talking about, like, the question was, are CRTs still the best best picture for gaming? And then you went into it and stuff. And like, it's just they don't make them in certain sizes. And they're huge, and people don't want a giant thing on their desk.
And if you wanted a 27-inch monitor, that kind of experience, it's going to take up all of your desk.
Oh, yeah.
For our audience, CRT stands for Crunchyroll Tuna. It's a TV that doubles as a sushi boat.
Yes. Yep.
Really
Anyways, you were saying you got a new TV.
So, yeah, Andy brought home the other TV for the podcast. I had a suspicion that this old TV was giving me input lag. So I swapped them out, and I immediately started doing better. Like, noticeably.
It's like Goku in the training chamber.
45% increase in my ability within the first couple of matches. So then I was like, all right, well, let's confirm this. And I looked up I'd already looked up this one, and this one had a pretty decent
refresh rate or
input lag.
Yeah.
The ratings and stuff on that TV were like, it's a shit TV as far as like picture quality goes, backlighting, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I paid $100 for that TV.
Yeah. But it has a pretty decent low input lag. I think it was like 10.
Which is really good for a TV.
Yes. But it's not what I want.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it was, anyways, I don't remember what it was. It was low. Below 20, I think, is usually like decent. And then I looked up this one. And this one was running at like, I'm going to guess, but I think it was like 50-something milliseconds of input lag. And I was like, holy shit.
5% of a second.
That's an eternity, you know? And so I now that I've replaced that, I want to get an even better television because I want to see, because now the picture quality is shit. So I can't see things
garbage.
very well.
Yeah.
And then if I upgrade the picture quality, I also want to upgrade the Xbox, which means that I'd want a Elite, or what are they called?
The
1X.
Yeah, the 1X.
So I could go to the higher resolutions. But then I ran into the problem that Scarlet is literally next year.
The new Xbox.
The new Xbox just is next year. So I'm like, fuck, okay, well.
Or you jump in PC Master Race with us.
Yeah.
Do it.
So the number one reason I don't go back to PC is because if I'm sitting in the living room playing the console, my girlfriend can sit there and play around on her phone and be next to me and stuff on the couch.
Yeah, I get you.
If I'm playing on PC, that is not possible. I'm going to be on my desk against it, like balls deep in this fucking machine.
Doesn't that sound nice?
It sounds like heaven. So I will make the sacrifice, as minimal as it actually is, and play on the console so I can at least still be social. If I had a gaming computer in my bedroom, Annie and I wouldn't use half of this house.
I don't use half of this.
Yeah, like, he already doesn't.
That's the reason we call his room the Bat Cave.
Yeah. And if you put me in my room on my computer, we would not use this. I guess we just let Sharon fill it up.
Well, then
with
Sharon
stuff.
gets a lot of room.
Yeah.
Dude, Sharon talked about playing Classic with us, remember? She was like, what is this? She's just kind of talking about it, a little bit interested. We just need to get her into PC gaming. Start off light. Be like, well, this is free. It's League of Legends.
Light was fucking Quaaludes. It's old school drugs. Wow.
Yeah.
Be like, you want to play this?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Gonna get hooked.
Dude, give her the hard stuff
Mainline
first.
and black tar heroin.
First one's free.
What are you buying?
Get to level 15, no problem.
That talent point's going to cost you.
No, so it's not bad. I don't mind. I wish I had multiple consoles, if anything, because
You have 2 hands, 2 controllers.
yeah. I mean, there's potential there. No, it's exclusives.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fact that I can't, like, I've been playing the God of War game since the beginning of the God of War games, and then I can't play the newest one because it's PlayStation.
Yeah. It's a good thing exclusives don't happen on PC.
Well, they don't.
No.
Right?
You're right.
Well, I mean,
They do now.
well, but they don't. It's not something that makes it so as a PC player you don't get to play.
Eventually, when Epic Games starts charging a monthly service for their thing, because everybody's going to start doing that.
No,
For now,
But
it's-
it
for now, it's
doesn't
optional.
make it completely unavailable.
For now, they're
For now.
going for the Polish, but I'm not Polish.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go for the Jews, and I'm not Jewish.
I don't think the
and I
business
totally
model
just made
goes that way.
a genocide reference in relation to
I think I don't know. You don't know what the future is going to hold, but I think the outcry.
features. All I see is profit for rich people, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think the business model will support them going to like each of them trying to charge a subscription service.
Yeah,
to
you'll
play
get the
certain
Netflix
TV
problem.
and movies.
Yeah, but that's a Netflix problem. People don't subscribe to multiple services usually at the same time.
And here's the thing.
or they limit it.
And here's
right?
the thing.
Citation needed.
They don't have enough content to drive their own exclusive platform.
but they're trying to have that.
But they don't. They
But they're-
can't. There's not enough. Like when you run into like television stuff, which is why we're getting all these television ones, is because they all have access to so much more content than one game developer does.
You lost me.
So
So we're talking about streaming services.
Epic Games, they
Yeah.
own Epic Games, all the games that Epic Games makes, right?
Okay.
And that's it. That's all they own. So they can only have stuff on their platform by default that's theirs. Otherwise, they're
That was the
paying
same with
other
Netflix
people,
when they started. They only owned what they owned, which was a small selection of things.
right? Netflix didn't own any of it.
They had to buy things like Epic Games is doing.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing is that everyone gets to pay. Like everyone could go to Fox and be like, "Hey, Fox, let me put your games or your movies on my platform for a cut," right? So you got to follow. But you can't do that when Fox suddenly says like, "Well, we're going to be the ones to start charging this exclusivity." They get to pull all their content back off of all the other platforms. Now you're the only one that can go to there for Fox content. And Fox has a fuckload of content. Same thing with like Disney. Disney's doing it now, right? If Epic Games, they can never make this statement that says like, "Oh well, fuck everybody else. We're the only ones that can have Epic Games content." No one's gonna give a shit. It's like 10 games.
But they're games like Borderlands 3.
They will always get a following for the hardcores, but it's not enough to drive it a long term. I think they would realize that they'd be losing money by not. Here. This is the best way to put it. They would lose money by not offering their game to be available on other people's services. That would be I think that's always going to be a net loss for them.
They don't offer Borderlands 3 on other services. You'd have to go to the console. You can't play Borderlands 3 on anything other than Epic Games right now on the PC.
Yeah.
It's got a year-long exclusive agreement.
But right now, it's not a subscription service.
But the whole idea is that given time, I could see it being reasonable if exclusivity becomes common on the PC, you get multiple launchers, that they all start in tandem charging a monthly service. And in turn, they give you all the bullshit you get with PlayStation Plus and
So
Xbox 3 with
Are you
your
saying
avatars.
in lieu of purchasing the game?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Oh, I
then
thought you
I
were.
don't. Yeah, unless it
Maybe.
replaced the purchase of the game, so
It-
like you
it-
just
Well, yeah.
automatically get access to their entire library of
It
games.
could.
I don't give a shit if everybody has a subscription model as long as they
I
offer the
do.
game.
I don't want to
for
pay
sale.
$900 a year to access to
But-
1,000 games, and I only want to play 10 of them.
What
But
I'm
you don't have to
you don't have
subscribe
to.
to them forever,
if they sell the
always.
individual game.
Would you really want to go through having to sign up for their monthly thing every time they had a new game come out and then have to unsubscribe from it?
I already do that.
That's so much
But-
work.
It's
I'd
irritating.
rather
but I
it
save
just
money.
not be a thing.
I
So-
save money that way.
Now hold on. Are you talking about if they went to pure subscription model and no longer had the game available for download? For like individual purchase, rather?
I'm just picturing a world where you have a monthly service for every launcher, and each one costs money, and you get to play the games that they offer right? Let's assume that you don't then have to buy the game for $60.
But with no option to buy the game outright.
You can only play the game if you're paying their monthly fee. You cancel your fee, you lose access to the games immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Same
do you
like
have
Netflix.
to pay for
Yeah,
the
that'd suck.
game
No,
after the subscription service?
you don't like
just
a
pay for the
game.
service.
Yeah, just pay for the service.
Right. Okay.
So each one's like $10-15 a month, and this game I want to play is coming out on launcher number Z, and this one's coming out on launcher purple. And suddenly I'm having to juggle subscriptions to play games I want to play. There's no need for
Yeah,
that.
I get you. That'd be
than
fucking terrible.
Profit for rich
It'd be
people.
irritating, but I would.
That's how Netflix and shit works
I think
now.
that sucks,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I would not do that.
And I could see that starting to come with, like you just mentioned, all these Uplay. You pay a monthly fee to get access to all these old games. Neat. I feel like that's a slippery slope to this Netflix shit, and I don't like it, and it scares me.
Maybe.
We've
think-
already seen it happen with movies and TV.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
I think-
reason to assume it
but
can't now happen to games.
The audience
That's
of gamers is a totally
true.
different situation. They're so much more vocal about these
90% of
issues.
gamers don't give a shit about
no.
any of this.
I would
But the
say-
10%
They
that
wanna
do
play-
are fucking vocal.
It's content. You got to look at, so whenever you look at television and movies, you have a very small handful of companies that make all the content, all of it. Everything that's on movies and TV is owned by a very small number of companies.
Well, let's compare that to the AAA makers of games. If you're comparing Fox and NBC and CBS, then you're going to compare it to EA and Ubisoft and Blizzard and Activision, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of games, but they have a huge amount of the market share of AAA games that make the money, right?
Sure.
The sports games and Overwatch and all those games make a shit ton of money. So I would assume, guessing at a monetary level, it's directly comparable to Fox, right? The majority of profit from video games is held by these few companies. It might not be a number of titles because there's millions of games out there, but all those games make up a fraction of the profit of Games by year. So I think it's comparable. Even though Fox has 1 million shows and TVs and Activision Blizzard only has a handful of games, they make a fuck ton of money. So I see parallels between this stuff.
I don't think that'll happen though. For one reason, there are more than just the AAA title. Like, sure, the AAA giants, they might create launchers that will only be subscription based.
The non-AAA people don't affect the decision making of Ubisoft and Activision and EA.
So-
they don't
I'm
give
not.
a
I'm not
shit.
saying I'm not saying they influence at all. I'm saying that it is possible that the big ones might. Sure,
because it'll make them money.
but you'll have indie developers that won't. I mean,
Yeah,
they
there's
just
always
won't
gonna
be
be
able
indie
to because they
games, and
can't
I
launch
play
their own
them.
platform to do that.
Yeah,
And Steam sells mostly third party, right? They make very few of their own games.
yeah.
Epic is getting that way. Origin could easily go subscription only, but they're a fraction of the actual games market compared to Steam and Epic Games.
What part of the games market?
All games.
Their market share is
smaller.
tiny.
Then if you were to
Who
compare
did you say?
between
Ubisoft?
so Steam and Epic Games, right?
Yeah.
That do mostly third party content at this point
Yeah.
are the big ones. Those are the titans. Versus
Of
something like
platforms.
of platforms.
Right.
Versus Origin, which already stops.
Okay.
They don't even serve their games on Steam or Epic Games. They serve it only exclusively on Origin. I could see
But
all the Origin
is
games.
owned by
EA.
EA.
Yeah.
EA is
I-
a fucking transformer compared to
Sure.
Steam. You're talking about like an umbrella company of a bigger one.
I understand. That's
So don't
what I'm
compare
saying.
Steam to
No,
Origin.
I'm making that direct comparison now because you could not do a subscription service on Steam
You need to compare
because it's all third party
the company
developers.
Valve to EA and Steam to Origin. Right? Because Valve owns
No, I am
Steam.
comparing Steam as an entire platform to Origin. Steam could not do the subscription model. They are the titan of industry that controls most of the games industry on PC. You couldn't do that model on Steam, so I don't think that it's that much of a danger.
And one quick point, like I could see like maybe that happening, but I don't think it would be sustainable simply because the main difference between TV, or maybe not the main difference, but a big difference between like TV and video games is the point of ownership of the product. You never own those shows.
You don't own games anymore. When you buy a game like through
Yeah, you don't.
Steam or EA,
Anymore,
you get rights
yeah.
to play them.
You give the rights to play.
That's
yeah.
true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Games
did
get
see
deactivated on Steam
a
sometimes.
lot of parallel And
Yeah.
I'm just under the
No,
assumption
there is
would
there
not
is
surprise
there
me.
is a shift,
I
and it
agree
wouldn't
with you,
surprise
dude.
me either, and it
Games
would suck.
as a whole make more money than TV and movie
Yeah.
combined.
It's the biggest entertainment industry.
Yeah.
So, but all I'm saying is like, I think we're pretty safe from that. Like, I could see all of EA titles being Origin exclusive and being subscription service only. But I still think the vast majority of games, because they aren't sold on their own launcher and platform, they're sold on Steam.
For now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just, most of those companies, I don't think have the infrastructure to do their own launcher.
EA has the money to do it.
EA, but again, we're comparing all the games on Steam, not on Origin.
Okay. We can talk about that later. 'cause
I don't
think I'm
mind
talking about something different.
if they went to a subscription service for a lot of these companies to where they're just like, hey, you get access to all of our libraries for X amount a month. I think it's fine. I'm going to save money doing that. I save money now with the Xbox Game Pass.
That's fair. If you're saving money, you're saving money. That's good.
I always want the option to purchase a game to be there.
Yeah, that's
I mean, this
that's what I like.
kind of reminds me of the feeling I was getting from the previous talk that we were having about it was internet related stuff from earlier in the podcast.
Tonight.
Yeah. But like I said, I forget what we talk about almost
Yeah.
immediately
Me
afterwards.
too.
Yeah.
But the whole time you guys were having this discussion about the topic we were having, I was thinking about how shit, I'm gonna lose it. Give me a second.
I think we were talking about games and CD keys. Games
The
Uh,
that didn't
demos?
use the launcher? Maybe?
Might have been
Yeah.
games that didn't use the
Mhm.
launcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it was. We're stepping around the center topic of like DRM, because really at the end of the day, that's what our like before the conversation you guys were having with the launchers was ignoring the fact that a launcher is essentially DRM,
Yeah.
and that's why I was asking questions about whether or not you could play them offline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is the same premise. Like if you're ever not owning the game that you paid for, you're subscribing to some sort of DRM.
Yeah.
These launchers are the gateway to them, making sure that you never actually own that content.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's scary because you can do a lot of nefarious things, and we have little to no recourse about them. I think about when I was playing Mad Max on the Xbox Game Pass, and I was enjoying it. It was like 3/4 of the way through the game, and then one day it just wasn't available.
Because it went out of rotation.
I couldn't find any information about why it was no longer on the Game Pass.
Well, the early Game Pass stuff, they were doing a rotation of games, and once it was out of rotation, you couldn't play for free anymore. But it was, I think, reduced price for Xbox Game Pass, because Xbox Game Pass recently changed.
all they did is they made Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is bundling your gold subscription and the Game Pass together. There's nothing new about it.
Well, but they used to rotate the games that were free at the time, and they were limited runs, a lot of them.
No. You're talking about the Xbox Gold membership rotation.
Maybe I am.
So that one is twice a month at the beginning and midpoint of the month. There are 2 games on offer for free for being a gold membership. And what they do is that the one is always rotating out as one rotates in. So they're always in there for
15 days ish.
No, I like it a month. I think each
Okay.
one's in for a month.
They just overlap.
But they overlap. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
And so that has always been a thing. Whether or not that is continuing when it goes over, it doesn't matter, because if you bundle the Ultimate, which is your gold subscription and your Game Pass subscription together, Game Pass gives you those games anyways.
Right.
So they're Game Pass games. That's usually what they're rotating through.
But I think the Mad Max thing was in Game Pass. I'm pretty sure that was during Xbox Live Gold days.
No, because I had the trial of the Game Pass when I did it. I know, so that's why I got it. So, I wanted to try out Mad Max, and then and Pirates. I think I wanted to try Pirates out. Is that what it's called? Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves. Yeah.
It's just pirates. I mean, pretty much.
it is Pirates, yeah.
Play pirate.
Oh my god! So, side note: have you guys seen The Good Place?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's a TV show. It's hilarious.
I'll check it out.
They were going to the bad place, and when they get off the train, there's a big poster on the other side of the train station that says Pirates of the Caribbean 6 now playing everywhere forever. It's so good.
So
And
you're watching season
2.
2. Okay.
Yeah, and
I think I've seen most of the first season. That's about
And the
it.
third season just came out.
the other reference that they made, that's like same episode, just I lost it. Do you smell like the Axe body spray? It's like, oh, Transformers smell. That is so It's like, oh my god, you get to make fun of Axe body spray and the shitty Transformer movies at the same time.
In the same joke.
Good.
Oh man, yeah. It's a really good show, and I fucking love Ted Danson.
Of course.
Oh my god,
It's amazing.
it's so good.
Mhm.
Highly recommend Good Place.
You just said Ted Danson was in it, so
Yep.
you
Yeah.
have to check it out.
So
Yeah.
I had to tell Sharon because in that episode where they're in the bad place, Dax Shepard's in it.
Yeah,
Oh, Dax
And-
Shepard's fucking hilarious.
Well,
too.
Dax Shepard is the main
husband.
character's husband.
yeah.
Oh,
in real
great.
life.
yeah.
In real life.
Veronica Mars. That.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No,
She-
I know. I know.
so
what you're talking
hot. My
Uh,
god, she hits all my buttons.
She's a cutie for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's trying to know. She's like, this guy shows up and he's all being broed out and retarded. She's like, oh, he's got less of a chin line than she does. It's like,
wasn't he in Idiocracy?
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's
So
the
he's
Ow My
essentially
Balls guy.
playing
Or
the
like,
same character.
Yeah.
the guy that
He's a
falls
lawyer.
around. It's a lawyer.
He's
yeah.
a lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
You like chicks and money? We should hang out sometime. We
Let's go to Starbucks. We don't have time for that.
don't have time for a hand job.
Oh man, Dax. So speaking of Dax Shepard, you guys wouldn't like it. It's The Ranch. I've been watching The Ranch on Netflix.
I tried to watch The Ranch.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to get into at first.
I don't like Ashton Kutcher at
I
all.
do like Ashton Kutcher.
I
I
like
think
him on that 70s show, but
Yeah.
that might just because I like that 70s
so
show.
so this is that 70s show, but instead of Red Foreman being the dad, it's Sam
Harris.
Sam
Harris,
Sam
right?
Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
And
The
also
cowboy.
Oh, they got
very-
Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
Good on that show.
Yeah, so
Very
he's the dad instead of Red.
conservative.
Yeah. Well, he plays a conservative person.
The
He is,
show is very
Oh,
conservative.
the show is, but
Yes.
but it's a parody of the ultra conservative.
It's in the sense that Big Bang Theory is a parody of nerds,
Yeah.
and Big Bang Theory is like
Big Bang Theory is
stomach
not
cancer.
a parody of
It is.
nerds.
It's a very self-aware show
It's
when they're.
100% a parody of nerds.
Yeah, that's all it is.
The
I would
Ranch-
say it's more of a. It's a
Bazinga.
cashing in on
cashing in
nerds
nerd
being
culture.
cool. Yeah, I wouldn't
Like
say it's a
making fun of
parody.
them.
Not even making fun of him, just like
have you seen the show?
yes, I've seen the show. I think it's
I don't think they make
it's
fun
a
of them
way
too much.
to make it accessible. It's not even making
Yeah.
fun of them. It's a watering down.
I
I
agree
wouldn't
with
call
you.
that a parody.
You feel that this show does not make fun of nerds.
I
No,
would say
am
it
I
does
hearing
make
you
fun
wrong?
of nerds,
In that it uses a lot of nerdy tropes,
but I would
yes.
not call it a parody.
I wouldn't call it a parody either.
I would 100. I'm the definition of parody
Yeah.
is humorously exaggerated imitation. That's
Okay,
I mean,
well
that
then it's
is-
a parody.
Yeah.
It's 100%
By
a
definition, it's a
parody.
parody.
They all get sweaty and hard to breathe because they drove out to California to do a photo shoot, the original Star Trek fucking Badlands, and they're sweating in their makeup. Like
It's
yeah.
but it's not.
Yeah, I guess
ultimately
I'm not
it's not
really
making fun of nerd culture is what it's not
that's
doing.
all it
It-
does.
it's 100% making fun of it.
in
not,
a
not
good
in
way.
a bad way. Yeah,
not in a
just-
bad way.
Oh,
In a good
okay,
way.
but in a self-aware, sure. Okay, well, they're adding comedic value to nerd culture. Okay,
in a good way.
I
in the
fucking hate.
sense
I
that
hate this show. By the way, I don't
Yeah.
want to defend it at all. But I don't think they're doing. Well, I do think they're doing a disservice.
Let me
to
put
nerd
it this way:
culture,
that
but-
'70s show was a parody of the '70s culture,
Yeah.
and it was done really well.
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory is a parody of nerd culture, and it's done very poorly.
I agree with that
Like,
sentiment.
that's essentially where I
Yeah.
want to get at.
I agree with
It's
that.
Yeah.
parody
hard to
that
watch.
borderlines on satire at sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just because it's so much of a ridiculous parody that
I feel like
can't get
it would have been
behind
fine if it had come out in like 2002.
Well, didn't it?
Didn't it? Yeah.
Maybe it did.
It has
I
been
don't know.
around for a while.
It's been around for a long time.
For-
I think they did like 16 seasons or something.
I have not
Is
watched
it-
it.
is
in
it
a very
over?
long time.
I think they just wrapped it up, or they're about to. Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Maybe just because I'm steeped in it, but my whole life I've grown up with things making fun of nerd culture, and I feel like we've outgrown it a little bit. Everyone's a bit of a nerd in some way
Well, and
nowadays.
nerd culture is it's
and they're
fully
still
mainstream.
just making fun of them because they're nerds.
I
And
think
it's
that's
like,
perception bias.
Yeah.
you don't feel like we've come a long ways in the last 10, 15
I
years?
honestly, personally, I feel like yes, our circle has expanded. If it's expanded to the point to where I feel like we're over it now, I don't know if I could say that because I'm still inundated in people that are like-minded like myself. The internet, which is one of the biggest, is the biggest way of communicating with each other, seems like it is a more accepting place for our type of person, but that's not necessarily reflected in the real world I don't know what really goes on in half the real world.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There
I
were
just think about
some
the
people.
fact that football teams, they play StarCraft 2 between matches now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got games on their phone. Everyone's got a fandom, whether it's Harry Potter or Doctor Who.
The
or
Marvel
Star
movies
Wars.
are the biggest.
Disney
is the
owns
biggest
Star
franchise.
Wars
Yeah.
now. Like I couldn't
But
give you some
superhero
kind of
movies
like
always
quantifiable where we at with like the nerddom level. I just feel like there's still plenty of people that are going to make fun of nerds because they're nerds or geeks or however you want to define it. So you're right there.
I think maybe
in our
we've
age
come
group, a lot of way, and we've come a long way
think
since
so,
the
too.
'90s when I was
yeah.
scared to tell people about my interests.
See, I just didn't have that, man. When I talked about when we were young and we were doing like pieces of paper in a bowl for dice rolls,
Yeah.
just the two of us playing D&D.
Yeah.
You know, the super ad hoc, no books, no
Mhm.
rules, make it up as you go Dungeons and Dragons that we did when we were like little kids.
Yeah.
I talked about that with enthusiasm in school, and that got other people into talking about their nerdy,
I
their
just got
nerdy
made
stuff.
fun of.
You went to the wrong schools. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was not a subject I talked to other people about.
I did always. I've always been enthusiastic about it, and I never felt put out because of it.
I
You
don't
got
think I-
lucky.
Yeah, I don't feel that way either. I mean, I don't know. That's weird. I didn't start really getting into openly being nerdy and stuff about the stuff that I liked until I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I wasn't too focused on it. Like I hung out with my buddy Skyler, and we used to race cars up in the hills, and I was on the football team. And
That's kind of similar to my experiences. Like I wasn't doing anything nerdy.
I was,
socially.
though.
Like by myself. I was.
Yeah.
I was playing PC games
Mhm.
well before like I met somebody else that I could even talk to about the
Yeah.
PC games that I played.
That was my experience too. Now that I think back on it, is
Yeah.
like I was socially like not very nerdy, but then like at home
I
I would
hadn't
play
met
video games.
any other nerds yet.
Yeah,
So-
that's
pretty
what
much
it
how
is.
feels, like, that's the key. It's like,
Yeah.
so, but I did other stuff that wasn't nerdy.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
did.
when I
had
met other
some
nerds, it allowed me to do more nerdy things because I had somebody to do it with.
Dude, one of the things that I hated the most was how many people I accidentally got into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Gross.
I never played that game, but there were plenty of people that would come with me to like because the where they did like home ec and stuff, they would keep that open for the nerd kids so they could play their card games.
We're very aware
Yeah.
of staying in claasrooms during all the break
Oh,
periods.
yeah.
But they ended up kicking us all out because too many people started showing up, and a lot of them were people that I like. The people that I would go to Abby's with, like the people that I'd say, hey, let's go get some pizza. But then the next day I'd be like, why don't you come check out what we're doing over here in home ec? And they would there were a bunch of fucking football kids and
Well, that was
athletes.
definitely, we were not inviting people.
I was,
back
man.
to our-
I was like, hey, check this shit out. It's fucking awesome. And that's when Luis and Santiago were starting to get an L5R. And that's when that's where I played most of my L5R was with them in the fucking home
I
ec
think we
room
were
with a bunch of
very exclusive.
jocks.
Here's a
Yeah.
comparison.
And
now, it does compare two different high schools. One in a
Yeah.
yuppie. Well, I'm about to talk about Ashland, but when we played D&D in high school, we would literally play in the hallways in like the back of the school where nobody could see us.
Mhm.
We would find a place where nobody was, so we could all stand around in a hallway and play.
Mostly because we didn't want people to come up and ask us dumb questions
Why
about the
not?
shit we were playing.
Oh, see, I always wanted it.
The Ashland High School right now, their D&D club is so large that they have like over a dozen kids DMing groups,
Mhm.
from what I heard, or something like that. It's like it's a club like fucking football.
Yeah,
but D&D, like that blows my mind. It's only been like 20 years, 15 years, and
Mhm.
it's gone from pretty much looking like a drug deal in a hallway to an activity you can join.
So
in
a lot of
school.
the reason that I got copies of all the same D&D books that all of us already had was so I could start playing it with the people at school. Because
Yeah.
I knew there were plenty of people that would be into it, and I was like, get into what I'm
so
doing.
many more people would enjoy it if they just knew what it was about.
Well, and that's what I was
So,
all
yeah.
about. I'm like, dude, this is so much fun. Don't be closed-minded. Jump in and play. And it wasn't for everybody. Not everybody liked it.
We
but
attract
the majority did.
flotsam. We had some people try to play with us. It's like
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
I never saw like video games as very nerdy. because in my experience, it always seemed like you could tailor a video game for any like audience. That's like saying like movies or TV intrinsically is nerdy, not necessarily. You can fucking have Barbie video games. You can have video games for anybody.
Yeah, because you could play a sports game or you could be playing EverQuest.
It wasn't until I started playing like card games and like heavy board gaming. That's when I like started going, okay, I'm starting to get into nerdy shit.
Well, yeah,
and
TCGs
for
are fucking
me,
nerds.
Yeah, it was like exactly, and that was like I was mainlining 05R for a long time, and that was all contained at Beyond Comics for the most part, and so I felt like it was my sanctuary.
Local game store.
That's what kind of the point I was making, is that any time that we were allowed to interact with another nerd,
it was in a safe place.
Well, our nerdism got bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't like the safe space, man. I just wanted to because I was enjoying it so much that it's what I wanted to do with my time. So if I could get my because I didn't go to school with you guys, so I had a different friend group entirely, and I just wanted them to be into the things that I was into, and a lot of them got into it.
That's really cool, though. I do appreciate somebody being a spokesperson for that shit.
It wasn't even intentional. It was kind of a selfish thing. It was like, I know that you'll enjoy this, right? Because I know who you are as a person, and I think it would be really cool for you to get into this, so I can fucking play it while we're here at school.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing you guys too much like during school. It would have just been like during lunch and shit.
Well, Russ is at
lunch
home
and
playing
breaks.
Halo, and sleeping in.
It's because I was skipping school.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd show up for
Why would you
computer
see us
tech.
anywhere besides breaks and lunch?
We didn't have the same classes.
Yeah, I guess that's my point.
I had
It's like-
classes with you before I dropped that bullshit honors classes.
Yeah, I guess
and
that's my point. Is like I didn't like.
There's also 2,000 students in our school. Like,
Yeah, I never.
oh no, 5 of our friends didn't overlap.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I never considered like school the place where I like socialized.
Oh, I definitely did.
I did too. Yeah.
I mean, Colin I had in some of my classes, and then lunches and breaks was like when I got to go hang out. Tech was a big one too, where we actually got to not work and hang out with each other. But
Yeah, and I was never like in that class with you guys.
you missed out on Tech.
I was thinking
Shout
back
out to Mr. Paul.
from
No last names, dude.
the age of about 8 when I think
What's
I
his
got
first name?
was it
Paul.
Was it Tandy? When I got my first computer at 8 until freshman
It was earlier than
year
8.
when I met you, because you played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
That 5-6 year range, I knew besides Andy, one other person that played computer games.
Well, computer games, yes.
Until high
Yeah.
school, like I had a cousin. He turns out he played computer games. He was like especially the only adult that had any knowledge of what I was doing. And it's probably just the way and who I grew up with, but I was just thinking about being isolated like that. Everybody played the console games, Super Nintendo 64.
Yeah, everybody
But
in that park did.
I was searching BBSs for DOS games.
Yeah.
Like that was nobody I know did that.
And you totally got a computer before 8.
I was 6 or 8 somewhere.
Yeah, I
in
think
there.
you were
It was
about
an old
6.
486.
It was a 486, yeah.
Yeah. And
I remember that
was
computer
my
man.
thing, and then nobody else did it, and I was like, man, I wish I knew somebody did that. And then in high school, it started getting bigger and bigger. StarCraft came out and whatnot.
By high school, we'd met. I mean, it was like one Justin I met in middle school, which is we were both gaming on PC.
Yeah. I'd met Josh and Colin in middle school, and Colin technically had Age of Empires, but I mean,
He did some. I mean, he played StarCraft.
Colin's computer was just a
relic.
a bunch of rubber bands and hope.
Like
Dude, he
the amount
didn't-
of time that thing just sat there and never got upgraded. It's like, what is wrong with
Well,
your
they
family?
they didn't get high speed internet until
I
like
know,
fucking
that's- oh,
like
God, going
2016. Just
Every time we're like, oh, well, let's look it up on the computer
They
real
can
quick.
afford a room
Dude, that's-
just for plants.
that's the thing.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Upgrade their computer.
Yeah.
We used to all go over there, and we all had the option to stay home and browse the internet at high speeds, right? Like 10 megabits per second plus.
Yeah.
We go over to Colin's house instead and watch it at 28.8. Like
Yeah.
It's because
we'd sit there and wait for E-Bomb's video.
his house was
E-Bomb's
always stocked.
That's what I
Yeah,
was going to
that's-
say.
His
They
house
couldn't
was
afford it.
always
Yeah,
stocked.
They're
Dude,
feeding 6
Yeah.
kids.
Yep. I had a lot of chicken and a biscuit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I went through months where I just drank Slim Fast over there.
Yeah,
like
dude.
they just were the fucking like little chocolate milk cans.
Yep. Slim Fast and some wheat thins, man.
That's why I'm so thin
dude.
now.
Dude, so much expired food though, because they bought in weird bulk varieties.
Ketchup was fine.
I will say this.
No, it was not fucking fine. It was not fine.
Sorry, I brought it up.
I to go back to the original topic and stuff, in no way would I ever argue that we have not come a long way
Oh,
in
yeah.
acceptance
Yeah.
and spreading of general nerd culture.
I think it's hard to put a finger on.
That's exactly.
how far
I
we've
oftentimes catch myself wondering how
Hard to quantify.
how to quantify it
Yeah.
when I am balls deep in that environment.
For sure.
Because this pretty much comes down to, like, you look at what goes on in the news and politics and stuff like that, and the different type of people that exist in our country, and I'm like, I don't know who those people are.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I have one or two of them that floats around. I'm like,
I
you
see them
seem like one
around.
of those, but then, like, to know there's enough out there to
Have an influence.
to have an influence.
I'm like,
yeah.
fuck. What do you guys care about
Yeah,
this
what
shit
is-
so much for?
Can
Play
we
some
get
games.
to the future, please.
I can't now. Where I work is a nerd culture extreme, but
Sure. Yeah.
but all the like 18-year-olds that are starting their first or second job there, they've all been totally like integrated into nerd culture for a long time at this point.
Indoctrinated into it.
I think it's
Indoctrinated,
because
yeah.
it's an option.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't want to see.
No, because it turns out it's really
exclusive.
fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
People like to do fun things.
It is fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
super weird.
and it doesn't mean
Fancy
you can't
that.
do anything else.
yeah.
Like
You can do other things.
I'm way into cars.
Yeah.
Way into cars.
He's inside one right now.
Yeah.
Way inside it.
Way inside it.
But that's the key, I think, is that knowledge that there's a breaking down of these walls that exist. Like, if you're a car dude, you
Right.
can't be a nerd.
It's just labels, and I don't fucking believe in them.
Yeah, well, we're getting past that stuff, which is nice.
Yeah.
Thanks,
we can start
Internet.
creating new ones for people.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I find myself, if I'm talking to somebody and like board games come up, I'll so like, what kind of board games do you play?
Yeah,
Like that.
Yeah,
I start
yeah.
probing. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what was the last one you played?
That's my first question. You like board games? What do you play?
What? Yeah. What do you mean?
Let me judge you
Yeah.
based on your following answers.
Let me see what kind of conversation we can have.
Yeah.
Dude, at work, I feel like Daddy Andy. It's fucking great.
Nice.
So, people come to me and they're like, "You play D&D, right? Well, how should I start?" And I'm like, "Oh, well."
Yeah,
Or I'm thinking about building a PC. Could you tell me like some parts that would be good? I'm like, well, yeah,
how much time you got?
yeah, exactly, right.
You need to just have like
paid
a move.
by the hour.
Like when this happens, you need to kind of frown and push your glass up and be like, "Well," and just have like
Yeah, you got it. You got to
do.
start taking on
Just
that
some
demeanor.
kind of motion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Look at their character sheet and gotta like look down over your glasses like they're bifocals. Be like, this is shit.
Well, I get oddly proud about my nephew.
Oh yeah,
He loves video games, man.
that's great.
Yeah, but he's also like a super active kid, which I hardcore promote over video games. So, yeah.
And just before the world gets everything figured out and everyone starts loving and living together, everything's going to go to shit and we're all going to die. So
Yeah,
it's not going to matter.
We're all gonna run out of oxygen. It's fine. Whatever.
Trees
So
going to stop
long,
breathing.
and thanks for all the carbon dioxide.
The happening's going to happen. Mark Wahlberg is going to come out,
Mm-hmm.
yell at us.
Yell at some trees.
confusedly. As
Is
the
there
trees
an
kill us.
equivalent for what
I'm
there's
Dirk
happening? Is there like a
Hazenin?
what and whoer or I don't know.
All right.
On that note, you guys just about just
So
about
you
ready
want
to
to
quit?
see it?
Just about ready to end?
Yes.
13 inches is a lot to handle.
Whoa,
Is that
where'd
the
that come
happening?
from?
That's Marco Wahlberg.
Oh,
Coming out
Oh, okay,
as
okay,
Dirk
okay,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dirk Diggler.
Goodbye.
Educate your mind. Don't let the brain cells die. Come on, it's balcony time.